Peaceful greetings, everyone. Don't mind my messy curly hair. I'm about to make some sun tea. And while I'm doing this, I wanted to do a video that I've actually been wanting to do for some time. There's so many videos that I want to do, it's unreal. However, it takes time and it's gonna take me actually having the time to do all of these videos. So I'm just using a glass bottle, and I'm going to be putting um, my tea bags in here. Okay, and then we're gonna close it up. My bad. Okay, so I'm going to be making raspberry hibiscus with a pomegranate raspberry. I'm mixing those two. I like mixing teas together, and it's gonna make this water really rosy color. I thought about putting roses in there. Anyways, the video today that I wanted to do is a lawful video. And, I just had posted a video regarding the lawful documents that were sent to all the various, um, alleged authorities or alleged government bodies, right, which we know are, you know, null and void, bankrupt. You can't run a bank. Or not only that, you could actually uh, watch that at your leisure and then come back. And when you have more time, you can sit and focus and watch, this one as well. Okay. So I am going to wrap this video up and then come back and do this one separately so that, those of you who are on fire for this type of information, you can actually, just click watch the next one, and you can watch the next one. And for those of you that just want specific information, even though this is valuable information with regards to that, because you have to put these in together, then when I was studying stuff like this, I was like I was like a sponge. Like, I couldn't get enough of this information. I was staying up day and night. This was leading me to that, and that was leading me to this, and then I was researching that, and I was in these federal law libraries. I was in, the libraries that these attorneys and judges are going to, some of which, when you are actually false imprisoned or being held hostage or an inmate, they do not let you actually have direct access to freely, right? Because you got to put in these requests, and I changed the documents to requirements. You got to put in these requirements lawfully to get this information that you should have access to. Because, when you're looking through these books, sometimes, when you look through and for the information yourself, you might stumble upon something else that you may not think per se is related, but is completely related and can help you as well. Yeah, but when you're not looking through these books yourself, you don't have that opportunity to get that added information. So anyways, like I said, I'm going to wrap this up, and everyone have a wonderful, peaceful day. I hope this helped you. If any of this information helped you, then, show the love back. I got a Cash App. I also am, doing this on the strength. I teach people all the time. That's why a lot of these powers, alleged powers that be, which are weak and powerless, unless we give them that type of power by, utilizing these terms that put us under their jurisdiction and give them authority, right? which I don't give them authority, right? No, I have all my power. I I keep all my power, and I'm not uh ha- they're they will attempt to trick you out of your power. Okay, so we have to be vigilant and mindful, and as people say in the military, you got to keep your head on the swivel for the different tactics that are utilized against us. um and I don't care if you are a citizen of the United States. I have assisted people in knowing their rights on various different um you know classes, various different you know well, that's social classes, being anywhere from, you know, bums to homeless people to houseless people to, you know, million and billionaires, okay? Because there are people that, you know, their rights are being violated regardless of whatever, um, social class you are. If you don't know your rights, then you have none, because these people will take full advantage of your ignorance. Okay. And what's interesting is that these people really, I guess, thought that I was ignorant. I guess based on either the way I look, my ethnicity, because maybe I, chose not to go the route of making an alliance with the bar, uh, the Lords of London, and foreign entities and alleged powerless powers that are doing business on our land by way of use of franc, that have attempted to overstep their privileges that were given to them to do business on this land, and they have completely and utterly um, not only just overstepped, they have literally um, been criminals and in treason to treaties, contracts, and all obligations and agreements to do business on this land. And from what people have stated, the same during the same time frame that I was false imprisoned, um, the President Donald Trump of the corporation United States, I guess, had dissolved the United States and completely ended it. So anyways, a whole bunch of stuff has been going on. A lot of times people are not aware of the real things that are going on because they are so sidetracked and entertained by distractions that they are not paying attention to what is really important to their lives and the things that actually make a difference in their everyday day-to-day lives. And I'm going to state that people need to take back their power, take back their control, because to govern means to control. Mint is your mind, so you are allowing other people, based on their entertainment, based on their, colorable authority and colorable law, to control your mind. So that is mind control government. And we, the people, being indigenous or being the people that are citizens of the Republic of the United States or the Corporation of the United States, um, those people, they had rights as the culmination of we the people, right? And the quote unquote government that was representing them were actually supposed to be presenting what the people actually voted for, what the people actually wanted in those areas, and were supposed to be the spokespeople for what the people were stating was they were supposed to be the voice for the people of that area. Okay. And so much corruption has happened that is no longer the case. That whatever the people, in those areas have voted for and subscribed to. That is not what is being presented to, the world. It is very much so, and has been very much so, you know, special interest groups and all kinds of other nonsense, whether that's secret societies and da da da, alliances and all this stuff, and blackmail and all this nonsense, underhanded stuff going on, so that instead of the people's voices in that particular area being acknowledged and those things going forward, and being implemented for the actual people of that area to be represented, it's gotten way out of hand, way out of hand. But these cities and these states are, charters to the original corporation, right? And so, we as indigenous have, you know, an obligation as the stewards of our own land to make sure that any of these citizens, right, that are under this corporation or have subscribed to being under this corporation from whatever countries they have come from, that they are being treated justly, and that they're receiving their karma regardless of, and I'm saying this, okay, that they are receiving 1,000-fold karma, whether that was in righteousness and receiving the rewards and the abundance for doing the right things, because there should be a reward system for the righteous side, right? Because there is definitely a reward system that has been put in place for doing the wrong things, right? So yeah, we should recognize the people that are actually doing the correct things. And I'm not talking about the people that are putting on these fake faces and facades and wearing masks and really doing underhanded things, behind, closed doors, and backhanded deals and, stuff like that. I'm talking about the people that are really through and through doing the right things. Okay. And so those people that are doing the wrong things and living unrighteously and dishonorably, at whatever title or capacity they think that they are at, that they also receive the karma, the just due karma, in righteousness, that they also deserve as well. You can't run a bankrupt corporation, right? Anybody in business and knows business, that's like, you can't do that. One that is, well over the debt. So, the lawful notice that I did within the Madera Tribune, right, stated that I had put on the record many different lawful notices and lawful documentation. And so I listed in that publication the various documentation that I had put in one or more of the alleged courts. Okay. And one that I did not put in the publication that is really huge was the FERRETTA waiver. And let me wait till that motorcycle passes. Let me just state this. There was a lot of pushback while I was false imprisoned. They did not allow the people being held hostage or the inmates to actually go to law libraries and look things up themselves. We had to put in, um, these different request forms, and with those request forms, then they could send you basically what they stated that they allegedly had, which not all the time were they sending the correct information in which you had required from them. Now, that is an issue because you can only send so many requests within an allotted amount of time, and then you're waiting for them to send this information back to you so that you can prepare your lawful documentation and have exhibits or whatever you're using that specific information for. So you can actually even require um you know, FERRETTA waivers and different waivers and forms that they're supposed to have. Now, this one that I actually did, they they sent me a FERRETTA waiver by accident, right? When I was already requiring one, but it was actually in another packet um, papers that I had required. And so I got one, and then I needed a second one because they were refusing to make copies of my documentation once I had completed it, because they were, attempting to refuse me uh, the right to present myself. You cannot represent yourself because that is only what someone else can do. They can only represent you. They're representing you to the court, whereas you can present yourself to an alleged court. Okay, so I didn't use the complete FERRETTA waiver that they had given to me, provided for me, and I made this into um, a lawful document utilizing the very last page of what they sent me. And then on the back side that was empty, I made it the front, and I made it into almost like a federal law document. Okay, so I'm going to read what this states, okay, and why this is important, okay, because in a previous video I shared with you guys how hiring an attorney is a conflict of interest because they are a an officer of the court, and being an officer of the court is a conflict of interest because their first obligation is not to you, who they represent, it is to the alleged court. Okay, and so that is a conflict of interest because if they are not doing what is for your best interest, and what is for the alleged court's best interest, then they're already not working to do what is best for you. And so you, having that conflict of interest in mind, should know that even if you win, they're not winning in your best interest ever. Okay, so people in the hood, they have known, like, that these public pretenders and attorneys really haven't been for them, but a lot of them did not have the proper information of why that was true. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see. I'm gonna put my hand behind that because it was shining through, so I don't know if you guys were able to, because it was letting the backside, there we go, shine through. Okay, so I made this into a lawful document. Okay. And I might take a screenshot or a picture of it and edit that in so you guys can actually, read it along with me. Okay, so it says lawful notice. This was actually filed. Okay. You see it has the file stamped on there. I guess it got wet, but you can clearly see that this was filed. Okay. In the Madera Superior Court, it has the clerk and the deputy name in there. And then this says February 24th, 2021, that this was filed. And this is Adarine Y. Calip, or I think that's a C. CALIP. And then Irene Valencia. Anyways, Adarine Y. Calip, I guess this is. Anyways, this is unlawful and illegal stamp anyways, because these stamps are, when they stamp it, they're supposed to be wet, fresh autographs, signatures, not a stamp. Okay? No, it's not supposed to be all inclusive. The stamp and then fresh, wet signatures. So that's not how lawful documents are supposed to be completed anyway. So let's get into the actual document that I filed. Lawful notice. For the record, on the record, let the record reflect. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. That means if I tell somebody at the very top, then everyone that falls under them is notified. If I tell somebody from the bottom, then everybody from the top is notified simultaneously. And then it says, Talisa Hartley, in full life, propria persona, aborigine, affiant. Because as an indigenous, autochthonous aborigine, we are not plaintiffs. We are not defendants. We are affiants. Okay? And then I put verse V, period, Inferior Superior Court of California, County of Madera, all of that, except for the inferior part, is crossed out. Okay, so all of their okay, it's on this side. Okay, I hope you guys can see that. All of these I have crossed out. Okay, except for the inferior part. Okay, and then I put on the right side of the page the fraudulent charges, which I put colorable charges. Colorable, by definition, lawful definition, legal definition, is that which is acting in appearance of something that it is not. So statutes and codes acting in appearance of law that they are not. Okay, so these are colorable charges. These are charges that are acting in appearance of charges that they are not, because they're colorable authority, colorable jurisdiction, right? There's everything is colorable. Okay, so I put colorable charges, case number, put the case numbers, right? MCR 05192B, and I missed a 3, so I crossed that up, double crossed that out, and put the MCR 053192B, cross that out one time. MMH 00789, which they had changed it to MCR 066215, second amended criminal complaint, consolidated into MCR 053314 into, and then it went into the MCR 053192B, and I crossed all of those numbers out, and then underneath that, I put the FERRETTA waiver of right to counsel. So within a, a minute or less than a minute, when you are in these alleged for-profit corporations, they're not alleged for-profit corporations, they are for-profit corporations, and you know that by uh, the one little word that is within their companies of, okay, or when they have established in, okay, when it's established, it was established as a corporation. So we know that these are corporations, right? So these are not lawful legal courts on indigenous land. Okay, so with that being said, when you are in these alleged courts, they want you to waive all of your rights pretty much, okay? Except something like this, okay? So they want you to waive your right to a fast and speedy trial so that they can prolong it and, keep you locked up as long as they so choose. They want to do that so they can pick specific critical dates that would best suit them in winning a case against you, because what you don't know is they don't want you religiously and spiritually to know anything about astrology, but they are utilizing astrology in these alleged courts against you. Okay, and I find it interesting that pretty much everywhere around the world studies the stars, uh, or or tracks the moon cycles. The farmers even use the moon cycles to plant their crops, right? They This system has NASA, which is a, a space program studying the stars, but yet it is supposed to be taboo for you to study the same stars that the rest of the world is studying. Okay, I find that very interesting. However, they don't want you to utilize that type of information and knowledge to your benefit because they're using it against you. They utilize the time and date that you came into this existence and planet. um, they utilize that information to pick the specific dates to actually have you in their alleged court or summon you to court, like they summon spirits in witchcraft and spirituality. They summon you to court to best benefit them. So, like, let's say this is somebody's out here ear hustling. They want to hear, you want to be in class? I can hear them out there shuffling their feet. Anyways, it's funny that how people just like choose. I don't know if they just want to spy. They want to hear the information. They could just come up to me when I'm out, you know, in the open and ask me questions. Some people do, but others, they try to be all like covert about getting the information. Anyways, getting back to the subject, because that is surely a distraction, that they're out here trying to make like little bits of noise so I can know that they're out there, but then not want to answer back and be rude. So I could easily, move my tarp and see who that is. But, I'm going to stay focused on the topic at hand. So again, they want to, have you waive all of these rights that are very beneficial to you, right? But there are certain ones that they don't want you to even know about, let alone waive. And so I got a lot of pushback for even attempting to get the documentation or get a copy of the FERRETTA waiver because they didn't want me to have it. Okay. Because they didn't want me to waive that right. So they were doing illegal and unlawful tactics to keep me from getting the FERRETTA waiver. And all I needed was a second back copy because I had already done this. And so this is something that they don't want you to waive, because if you're challenging jurisdiction, as I had stated in a previous video, that when you hire an officer of the court, who is an attorney, public pretender, lawyer, whatever, you are automatically putting yourself in a minor state, as a minor meaning a child state that is unable to speak for themselves, and this attorney or lawyer or whatever has to speak for you because you are not competent enough to speak for yourself or know the law for yourself to present yourself. Okay, not defend yourself. You're never defending yourself. Okay, so then the other thing is that when you do that, when you hire an attorney, public pretender, or lawyer, they automatically, because they are an officer of the court, that very act of hiring them or agreeing to have them represent you puts you in a subject state and status. So you have subjected yourself by hiring them to the jurisdiction of that alleged court. So they didn't know that I knew that at first, and so they were continually attempting to force counsel by way of attorney or public pretender. And so by me putting the FERRETTA waiver, knowing that I can waive that right, they attempted to do everything underhanded that they possibly could to keep me from filing properly or having the paperwork at all. Okay. And so because I also know that when you utilize their documentation, right, when you utilize theirs, a lot of it is against you as well. Okay. So when you get into learning about legal and lawful contracts, you will find that anything within a box is actually null and void and is not part of the contract. So when they have you checking boxes or writing within boxes, or they have you initialing in boxes, those boxes don't exist to the actual contract, only what is out of boxes. So what I learned as a very young child from a paralegal that I had to stay with for some time, based on some things that were happening in my kidnapper's life, Dolores Diane Sunshine Harley Smith Barnes, whatever. I had stayed with not a public pretender, excuse me. I stayed with a paralegal for some time, and I learned some things from this woman in SoCal, in Southern California. And so one of those things is that anything within the box does not exist. And so you can open those boxes up by doing these little slap marks, which breaks the lines of the box up, and it basically opens the box. Okay. So now everything within those boxes are actually now included. Okay. And so when using their documentation, right, you have to go through it like a teacher with a red pen and make the proper corrections, or not use theirs at all and create your own. So I literally numbered this. I put the double lines. I created this whole page, right? Because this is the only typed part. I used the second page of what they sent me, and I created the first page myself. Okay, but this is another actual version that I actually sent into them, right? But this is the advisement and waiver of right to counsel. So once you have done the FERRETTA waiver, then this is actually stating that you understand and overstand all of the legal and lawful ramifications of your decision. And as you're reading through it, and I'm going to read through that so you guys know exactly what it states, you're going to see it's kind of like they want to, if you're not really strong and confident in your presentation of yourself, that will make you double think with your freedom and life, being on the line, right? So anyways, getting back to the FERRETTA waiver, and then I'm going to read that for you guys. I'm attempting not to make this video so long. However, if you are not versed in these types of things, I do want to make it clear some of the language that is being utilized so that you can become aware of what these things mean and how they have been utilizing this information against you, and how you can take control and you know uh, take control back over your vessel, your experience, your reality, and this is part of that. Okay. But I'm going to say this: there are no documents, right, that supersede your internal power and your internal knowledge and your internal belief. So you can do these things, but you have to have this within you, not only just the knowledge, but feel it, believe it, know it through and through, that is the truth, right? Or this is your truth, okay? So this is the beginning of what is stated in the FERRETTA waiver, right? FERRETTA waiver of right to counsel. I, lowercase I, because capitals are significant in legal and lawful documents, okay? So I did lowercase I, Talisa Hartley, affiant, in full life, that's all caps, living, breathing human, and I did put hue as in color, HUE dash man, which could be woman, being autochthonous, aborigine, indigenous, native, which native, okay, native is actually an improper word. Aborigine can be looked at in various ways because of the prefix ab, meaning in the dictionary, ab means away from. So those two words are very, you have to use them knowledgeably. And native, any foreigner that has children here, their children would be considered native, okay? So, but native in its lawful context also is a type of slave, basically, in layman's terms. So yeah, we have to be very careful of the words that we are utilizing. Okay, continuing. Propria persona, sane and sound mind and body, have conditionally consented, because to just outright you know how do you say, like, to defend and all of these things creates a controversy. So like if 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 somebody's coming at me and they want to fight, right, and I start, with that same energy and attempt to, defend myself, right? I'm feeding into that energy. So I'm not feeding into this energy. I I'm saying, okay, you want to fight, right? Then I'm going to conditionally accept your offer to fight based on, these conditions. Okay? If you want to fight me, then we could fight. Okay? So listen to this. I have conditionally consented to contract, because you don't have to contract with these people in any way, shape, or form. Okay? But a lot of times what they will do is put you under threat, duress, and coercion, uh, you know, and force contracts, okay? Or illegally gain contracts. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing to, do these contracts. And I'm going to show you some of that in another video, okay? But one of the things that I put as a post on one of my social media sites, or a few of my social media sites, is a citation in which I put at a 45-degree angle, no jurisdiction and no authorization or consent to contract, and they still attempted to use those voided out contracts, because citations are contracts, and you sign it, they sign it, that's a contract. And I did not contract with them, and they attempted to go forward as if I did, which is fraud and illegal. Okay, so I have conditionally consented to contract for above entitled colorable charges case, and I cross that out, and a FI, no conditions met, meaning they have met none of the conditions that I'm about to state, and no controversy exists, and no injured party exists for this fraudulent case. So if for there to be a case, the people of the state of California, or whomever, right, Superior Court of California, County of Madera, who or whatever, in these entities, corporations, persons being people or corporations, they have to have an injured party, right? So, and no injured party exists for this fraudulent case on their side. On my side, I was injured numerous times and in various lawful and legal ways. And I, in truth and honor, affy to the for-profit corporations, in quotations, doing business as, because we do know that they are DBAs, Superior Court of California, County of Madera, all crossed out, posing as a court, crossed out because they're not a court, that I can read and write. I overstand, not understand. I stand over their colorable authority. I stand over their colorable jurisdiction. I am the authority. Okay? I overstand that the constitutional rights include the following, which, if you know you are indigenous, then well, we won't get into the Constitution. That will be another video. There's so many different things I can offshoot from these videos, but I want to keep them kind of more focused. So if there are things that you don't know about this, put your questions and concerns in the comments, and we will continue to build upon these lawful documentations, what they mean, and how they can be used, and just dive deep into these, because it's lawful, right, on one hand, but this is also spiritual as well. It's physical and spiritual. And like I said just a little while ago, that they are utilizing astrology. What you don't realize is that this is a whole bunch of quote unquote witchcraft that is being done to summon your soul and your spirit to wherever they are at. That is a type of witchcraft. Just like they light candles, and do seances and summon them spirits and souls from, other planes of existence to appear. That's what they're doing to get you to be wherever they're at in time and space, to be in their fraudulent corporations. Okay, for-profit corporations. Anyways, we will get into all that at a different time, but I'm just putting that like little uh tidbit of information out there so you know. Okay, and we'll dive deeper into these things as we go. Okay, so some of these cross outs are it's lawful, but it's also spiritual as well. Okay. Um okay, I understand the that the constitutional rights include the following. A, letter A, right to an attorney. I understand that I have the right to be represented, right to waive, and but not limited to refuse representation by an attorney at all stages of the proceedings. And if I do not have funds to employ an attorney, one can be appointed for me by the court, crossed out, at no cost, in which I waive my right to counsel by the inferior court. Okay, and I did so because of exactly what I stated earlier. It is a conflict of interest. And whenever there is a conflict of interest, you already have the right, regardless of a conflict of interest, to waive your right to counsel, just like you have your right to waive your right to a fast and speedy trial. They want you to waive that one, but they don't want you to waive this one, because automatically then you are not submitting to their jurisdiction, and they want you to be submitted to their jurisdiction. They need you to be submitted to their jurisdiction. And this is a sneaky, backhanded, backdoor way of doing it, without most people even knowing that that's what's actually going on. Okay, B, letter B, right to a speedy trial and a jury trial. C, right to subpoena witnesses and records. D, right to confront and cross-examine witnesses. E, right against self-incrimination. F, right to be released on bail. Whereas I have challenged jurisdiction of the inferior court, crossed out. To employ an officer of the court is to stand under, stand under the jurisdiction of the alleged court, crossed out, by mere employment. I said that, I've been saying that throughout this whole video, but this is what I actually wrote. It's right here. Wrote that. Okay? Right up in here. Okay? Which is a conflict of interest and of me not being subject to the unestablished, non-existing jurisdiction. G, letter G, right to self-presentation, not representation, because I cannot represent myself. I can only present myself. I'm not redoing it. I'm presenting myself because I am the presenter, right? I can't represent. Okay, so right to self-representation, which is what most people would say, is self-presentation. Okay? I understand that I have a right to self-presentation and may waive my right to counsel. I further overstand. I stand over their colorable everything. Okay? I further understand that I am presenting myself. I will conduct my own defense without the assistance of a lawyer, officer, lawyer, Okay, so I said assistance of a lawyer dash officer of the court, crossed out the court. I hereby certify that I have read, and they had on their typed up document, understood. They always want you to understand, understood, okay? Because they're tricking you with that word because you think that it has something to do with comprehension, like you comprehend and understand what they're talking about, but that's not what they're actually talking about. They're actually stating that you are standing under the authority of their colorable jurisdiction, colorable law, colorable authority, that you are standing down. Like, you know, if in military they would say to the military soldiers, stand down, like don't progress forward, or that you are to stop, okay? That's what a stand down would mean in military. But to understand is to subject yourself to being under their authority, under their jurisdiction. You're understanding, you're standing under their jurisdiction, subject to, right? So okay, so I put I have read, comma, overstood, where they put understood, and considered all of the printed matter. It says on, I put in this, and they said petition. It's not a petition, it's a waiver. Okay, so I corrected. You have to go through and correct their stuff because, you know, petition and waiver are different. To petition is asking, not asking them. I'm not asking them to give me my right to waive. No, I'm waiving it. That is a direction. That is an order. That is a command. That is a waiver. I'm not asking to do it. See, they don't say that you're petitioning to waive your right to a fast and speedy trial. See, that's why you got to pay attention to these words. They don't have you petition for that. They just have you waive it. Okay? So they try to include specific words within these documents to mess you up. It's like, what was that movie, Slumdog Millionaire, when they wrote the wrong answer on the bathroom mirror when he went to use the restroom, and they wrote the answer, you know, on the mirror, and he had to go with his own intuition and realize that they wrote the wrong answer on that mirror, that he had the right answer. Okay, so sometimes you have the right answer and they're trying to put the wrong answers in there. Okay, so they can mess you up. Okay, so waiver, and then I initialed the correction, and the writing hereon in response to the questions asked is in my own handwriting. Now, I put Chronos 6/24/2020, and then I put affiant to Lisa Hartley, appropriate persona, all right. I did my autograph. All rights and remedies secured or reserved without prejudice and or recourse in full life. Autochthonous Aborigine, Indigenous Native to Turtle Island, a Mexim Kemet of the West Atlantis move. Okay? So that was this one. And you know what? Honestly, I do want to do this one as well, because this one actually goes into, you know, all the little things that they want you to be thinking about when you waiving that right, what it actually means. But this video is already 41 minutes and 4 seconds. So I think I'm going to do this one separately, just in case those people that don't want to, you know, sit through the entire thing, then they can, you know, I'll reference this and put them together maybe as a part 2, or put them in descriptions of each other so that you guys can have, you know, them back to back or whatever. you know, to reference or whatever, that they are related in context or whatever. So these videos aren't super long. You can get in and get out.